Well, my little hybrid kit that I built there on the weekend, I was burning it in, and the sound went out. How dare it? Let's see what went wrong. Well, this is rather annoying. My little amplifier that I built, my little hybrid amplifier that I built the other day has stopped working. Yeah, I know the lights are showing blue again. I was showing it to somebody and I turned them on just to show them what it looked like. Anyway, I had it playing for this thing. I was leaving this thing run as burning it in, and I had it running 24 hours a day there for a couple days, and I just noticed that there was no sound coming out of it. Now this thing here, this is just my little Banggood power supply from years gone by, and I'm just using it to power up a little MP3 player, which I have my royalty-free content on for testing stuff. So I kind of just set this at 3.92 volts because I took out the lithium battery on this thing so it wouldn't overcharge. This is just a little 1 gig MP3 player. Anyway, I got no sound on this thing. I'm just gonna turn off that noise in the background so you guys can hear what's going on here. I have the heat on because it's bloody cold out right now. Tonight, I think it's about -4 right now. And it's going to get down to, they say it's going to get down to about -10 tonight. So it's getting a little bit chilly out there. So I had to put the heat on in here. Anyway, I got no sound. I'm going to turn off that fan so you guys can hear sound from the speakers, because it looks like the problem's in the tube circuit here. And the tubes are warm. They got filaments and everything. So you can see this resistor is getting a bit toasty. This is the dropping resistor for the filaments. So then it is hot too. It gets warm because it is dropping a lot of current for the tubes. But it's not that. The tubes are hot. It's just we're not getting any sound through them. How I know that is I know that the power amplifier works because I can touch the bottom of the board and you'll hear, right? You'll hear sound from the speakers when I touch the bottom of the board. So it is working through the IC amplifiers. There's left channel and right channel. So we know that the power amps are working. We have a problem in the tube circuit. So I'm thinking maybe one of the voltages is gone. One of the power supplies might not be working properly. Maybe a component has failed. Maybe a connection wasn't done right when I put it together. That's highly unlikely, but we'll figure it out. I've got the schematic here, so let's just do some voltage measurements and see if we're missing any key voltages. So we have a couple voltages here that are actually identified on the bottom of the board. Let's just make sure that we have our -22 volts, which we do. If I look at the meter here, let me just zoom the camera out a bit so you guys can see the meter. So with respect to ground, which is this one here, we should have -22 volts here, which we do, and we should have +22 volts here, which we do. We should have, I guess, 12.6 across here, which is a little high, but that's okay. Let's see some of our other voltages that we need to have on here for the tubes. I think these are the caps over here. Oh, well, that looks low. -2.9? Let's just look on this other side. This is the 22 volt supply over here. So we should have +22 volts here, which we have 24. And this one here should have -22. And we got +3 volts. That is wrong. That's incorrect. And these other caps are the same on the other side, I believe, because it's two separate circuits. So where is that fed? We're looking at our schematic here, and I believe that's through this transistor circuit in here. Our unfiltered, our unregulated voltage comes in from our -26 volt supply here, and it goes down through, where is it going through here? This one's going through R1 and R2, which are 1K resistors, and then through Q1 and Q2. So let's just take a look at the voltages on Q1 and Q2. And I think I know what might have happened on this thing too. One of my power supply leads popped off when I was testing it, and I lost one phase. So that may have been played a role in what's happened here. But we might have a bad transistor. One of these transistors might be bad. Let's just take a look at the voltage on these transistors and just take a look and see where we're losing that negative supply. So here's the transistors down here. There's 6 of them. So we'll just measure these transistors if we can. Voltage wise, that is. 1 volt. That looks a little low. Minus 25. That looks good. Minus 2. That looks low. What about this one over here? That's my positive supply. So these are my 2 negative ones here. That should be negative voltage there. Oh, interesting. It just came on. Is there something right here at this connection? We'll find out. Let me take a close look at this. Well, where I touched the probe was right here. And it doesn't look bad. I'm looking at it with the magnifier here and it looks good, but I'm going to reflow that transistor just to make sure, because I think it comes in from the top side on here. So it might be not bonded properly, but let me just reflow. I'm going to resolder the negative side of the transistors here and just make sure that that's not where the problem is, because missing the negative supply voltage, that would certainly cause the problem that we're having. The tubes are biased to cutoff, right? So let's just redo this transistor, these 2 transistors. Also redo this one part here, this resistor. Okay, let's see if our voltage comes back on our negative 22 side here. Plug it back in and see whether we get our, oh well. I would say that that's all the problem was. One of these connections here mustn't have been good. Interesting. Now, see where I think the fault may have been was, and I'm going to probably go over these again. Some of these come through from the top side of the board, and you can see that some of the solder hasn't flown all the way through. It's soldered good on the bottom, but may have not. Some of these connections may not have been plated through properly. You can see the ones over here on the ICs are flowed through nicely, but some of these ones down here look like I might want to just go over them again. Just gonna pull the power off this thing, and I'm just gonna go over these transistors one more time here. Just throw a little bit more heat on them, and then I'm gonna put this thing back on my burn-in test and let the thing run for several more hours before I put it into a cabinet. Because ultimately this is gonna be, I'm probably gonna mount this onto a piece of board, right? So I can put it on display, but put a little bit more heat. Flow a little bit more solder down here. See if I can get some more to go down through the actual plate through pins. I did that one already. Okay, there we go. So all is good. It was just a bad solder connection on one of these transistors here in the negative supply, so that's one of these ones down here. Supplies our negative voltage for our cathodes, because the positive voltage here is what ends up on the plates, right? The negative voltage here ends up on the cathodes, on the tubes. So loss of negative voltage, of course, it was pretty obvious that there was a loss of negative voltage because the cathodes were going positive. Anyway, pretty simple fix. Neat little amplifier. I'm really enjoying this unit now that I've got it going here, and I've been listening to this thing pretty much straight through since I built it. I've been super impressed with the sound quality, and I've been running this thing at quite loud volumes, just checking the temperature of the ICs, and they're staying, relatively cool. So it will now continue my long-term test here until I'm going to mount this thing right to I'm going to mount this to a piece of board, probably a nice finished piece. I'm going to mount this on there and mount the transformer right behind it and just have it on display. I'm not going to put it into a case or anything. I kind of like to see the open tube, so I'm going to mount this on an actual piece of a plank. I'm going to get a piece of board and mount this and stain it and everything and make it look kind of cool, because I really like the sound quality off this little amplifier. It is very impressive. And this thing blows the doors off of all those Class D amplifiers. There's no comparison. It might not come over on camera, but you really have to listen to tubes, and hybrid amplifiers are tube amplifiers, right? The tubes give you that warmth to the sound, and you really have to hear these to appreciate it. This thing sounds phenomenal. Thanks for watching.